Taiwan Talk, I'm Alex Lewis. This week I had the pleasure to speak with Digital Minister Audrey Tang. Audrey gives a brief overview of 2018 as Digital Minister, a little bit about what we can expect in 2019, and fields a few other questions that I wanted to ask. So let's start with your, I guess, like a review of 2018. Like what happened during the year and your thoughts on it.
Sure. Yeah, in 2018, we passed the Social Innovation Action Plan, which is a 4-year plan that's for the first time highlighting the sustainable goals, the 17 global goals, as the motivating common goals for all the different sectors. Because previously, although Taiwan already has a National Sustainability Council, it is mostly top-down, meaning that the government decides what it commits to, what we're going to put in the voluntary national review, things like that. It's very much a public sector thing. But with the Social Innovation Action Plan, we're now calling all the, for example, the CSRs for publicly listed companies, the USRs for academics, for universities, the social enterprises, the social sector, as well as the private sector, putting their work together and into a common index so that we can shape a system of the social environmental challenges that was previously caused by, for example, capital with unknown impact and unaware actors, to make them gradually more aware into capital that avoids harm, capital that benefits the stakeholders, all the way to capital that contribute to solutions. And this is what we call social financing. And so this is a 4-year action plan that gets much more resources from the various sectors, not just the public sector.
Okay, so this is kind of just implementing big data in terms of just affecting change, right?
In the sustainable goals, we talk about not exactly big data, but reliable data. Big data only means that it's a lot and it flows quickly and there's a large variety and so on. But the core issue we're tackling is that, for example, in terms of air quality, there's various different actors. There's citizen scientists, there's the Environmental Protection Agency, there's various other people monitoring various parts of the air. But the most important thing is for them to respect and trust each other and mutually use those different microsensors and so on to get a more holistic pictures of what air quality is like and to correlate the human interventions with the air quality, and so that everybody gets the idea of what the air quality is, instead of everybody looking at just one part of the picture. Right. And so reliable data, I think, is the main theme of the previous year of 2018. We use distributed ledgers, also known as blockchains, to make sure that people trust each other to not modify the numbers that each party produced. And we encouraged effective partnerships by way of uploading, aggregating all this data into the common, what we call civil IoT infrastructure. And you can find it on ci.taiwan.gov.tw. And it offers, in internationally compatible formats, the air quality, meteorological data, disaster recovery, earthquake detection and prevention, as well as water quality data. And so we see a lot of people using machine learning and other new technologies to take a look at these numbers and work alongside humans in what we call assistive intelligence, or AI, to work with people who detect water leakage, for example, and save them time by saying, maybe today you would like to first look at those 3 spots because they're most likely to have water leakage based on the pressure data and other flow data and so on. And so, this of course relies on big data, but the most important thing is the data is multi-sourced. Everybody can be a data producer, and that it is on apparatus that enables mutual trust.
Okay, that's awesome. So basically, you're just building a foundation for that mutual trust in most sectors, not just for air quality, it's for everything, right? Water pressure and also just anything else in terms of governance. What kind of data is the most beneficial for, I guess, your role as digital minister? What kind of data do you look at, kind of like metadata and all that stuff?
Sure. Well, first I look at the national budget as well as the state level budget. But it's not just me who look at it, but rather we invite everybody to look at it through the join.gov.tw system. In 2018, we invited all the different ministries to upload all their KPI, all their spending, procurement, and so on into this shared platform. So by 2018, there's around 1,300 national projects, each one maybe 1 year, 2 year, 4 year, or up to 9 years. And everybody can see, enjoying the GOV, the TW, what all the different ministries is up to, what are their priorities, and you can actually drill down into any particular ministry. And so that you can see how it's doing, and what kind of spending, what kind of procurement, what kind of research they've gone, and so on. And it's not just read-only, but the data is what we call a social object, meaning that it converts these data into topics for discussion. So we can see that the people are most interested in talking about, for example, water sanitation, long-term care, social housing, and things like that. And the responsible authorities actually goes here, and every quarter.
Okay, so it's like project management with public feedback.
Exactly, and everybody can ask questions. Wow. And every quarter, people go back and do a public reply. Of what people's questions are.
Okay, what kind of questions do you usually get? Is it mostly just like, help me understand something, or just like, this is my specific need that I want addressed? Like what kind of a...
Yeah, but both kinds. So the clarification, the informed side, because there's a lot of jargon and a lot of specific terminologies that are not necessarily everybody's common knowledge. And so we see a lot of just asking for clarification. But we're also seeing people sharing their authentic experience and feedbacks of how this public project is personally affecting them, and asking for a directional change, or at least something that can better fit their specific need. And so that is also very much treasured. And of course, there's also just simple questions like there's a Kinmen Bridge, for example, that people see the accumulated spending is actually going downward. But the accumulated spending should not actually go downward. So people actually went here and asked what really is going on. And people responsible for that particular construction actually went here and did a specific reply explaining why the accumulated spending actually goes down. And so the original question is very simple. It just asks, is the picture wrong or what? But then the administrator just replies that the vendor, for example, has defaulted on a lot of construction targets, and they canceled the contract. They have to find a new vendor, and so on. And so there's a temporary stage where they returned the procurement money, and so on. And so after explaining this once, they don't have to respond to 40 phone calls, because everybody can just go to a search engine and see the explanation. And people who ask follow-up questions are actually asking based on this understanding, so they don't have to repeat this answer over and again.
Okay. So it seems like you're really streamlining and making just work more efficient. Do you have any like numbers or I guess anecdotes that you can tell me that like kind of just
right. In terms of numbers, the Join platform now has, I think, more than 5 million users out of 23 million people in Taiwan. And so, almost a quarter of the netizens understand that they can petition for a good idea, for a new idea. Like last year, we see the first fruit of our co-creation, the new text filing system for Mac and Linux and tablet systems that was co-created by petitioners who thought that the text filing experience of 2017 is, quote, explosively hostile, unquote. And so we basically just invited everybody who complained to the kitchen, so to speak, and co-created a text filing system. And so that's the e-petition. And then all the regulatory announcements are put on the talk section, and the budget are on the supervised section. And as you can see, there's in all the three sections, there's are literally hundreds of topics currently actively debating.
Okay. In my research, I noticed that you practice troll hugging.
Mm-hmm,
Could you tell me a little bit about that? How you got into it, and I guess how do you go about it? Like, how do you approach the troll, and how do you kind of like de-escalate the situation, things like that?
So I got into troll hugging because I was troll hugged when I first participated in the online
you
community.
were a troll.
Yeah, I was a troll actually, and not necessarily intentionally though, because my English wasn't that good. And so when I first participated in IRC and other online communities, there's some utterances that I just didn't know what the right way to put it. And so it may come across as rude or attention-seeking or whatever. But so it's not really intentional. But the Pearl community is very well known of being very not just tolerant, but actually very inclusive of its members. And so people gradually let me know that the parts that I authentically reveal about my experience, they care very much about. But rhetorics or whatever part that come across as rude or whatever, they just pretend that they didn't see it. And so this is very much a pro-community thing. And so I was educated in that environment. And I think, so nowadays when people just summon me, quote unquote, by mentioning my name on PTT or on other online forums, basically I just reply as soon as I saw it, usually within 60 minutes. But I only respond to the parts, again, that are authentic, that they share their own experience. And the reason why is that most trolls just want attention. But when you feed the troll, so to speak, is when you reply only to the part that are provoking. But then that kind of response tends to be transactional because it doesn't sustain long-term relationships, right? So the troll wakes up still feeling empty and trolls somebody else instead. But only by responding to the part that are authentic can I gradually draw out more authentic experience from the troll and then invite them to my Wednesday office hour in the Social Innovation Lab, so I can give them a physical hug, and then they become co-creators essentially. And so all this troll hugging is basically to make transactional relationship based on emotions into more long-term relationship based on authentic experiences.
Okay, so don't feed the trolling part, feed the person.
That's right.
Talking to
That's
you.
right. Yeah. Feed the person inside the troll.
So what's coming up for 2019?
Well, first of all, around the end of 2018, we passed quite a few laws that we're going to implement in 2019. For example, there is this Autonomous Vehicle Act, and Taiwan is the first jurisdiction to pass the law that allows for autonomous driving sea, air, and land vehicles. And so hybrid vehicles, so to speak. And so every day, actually, in the Social Innovation Lab, I work with those autonomous driving vehicles. It is not science fiction for me. They're just going around in the Social Innovation Lab literally every day. And this is how they look like. They're self-driving tricycles.
They kind of look like carriages.
They do look like carriages.
Yeah.
And they're very easy to tweak because they're open hardware and open source. So we have a lot of college students just tweaking them. For example, the eye of the first iteration looked kind of like a cyclops, and people don't find it very natural. So now they have two eyes, and the eyes can blink, and they can make eye contact with you, and can use all sorts of different nonverbal expressions to signify its intent and things like that. So what we're doing is essentially making experiment fields, what we call sandboxes, so that the AIs can co-evolve with the humanity and respond to actual social needs instead of like a top-down way. And so coming in 2019, in addition to the Social Innovation Lab and so on, we're going to have the Shaolin Smart Green City Science City in the Tainan, just outside the high-speed rail station. And so you will see a lot of those autonomous vehicles. It could be flying, it could be part of a boat that becomes a car, and so on, doing simulations and contests and experiments within the SGESC, the Science City.
And what's the end goal of all of this work?
So that by the end of the year, we can actually put some of the autonomous vehicles to work. Because the regional revitalization plan, which is, again, another very important thing coming this year, is to make sure that the people who are living in the regions that are suffering from like a declining population or a not healthy aging structure and things like that, to rediscover the good livelihood and the DNA of their local identity. And many of these regions told us that autonomous like drone delivery is actually one of the key things that will change their life, because they don't have to drive a lot to get, for example, medication or essential supplies or things like that. And so in these areas, we're considering to apply the Experimental Autonomous Vehicle Act to make sure that they can be the first one to benefit from self-driving vehicles by enabling a much better and on-demand supply system for them. And of course, some of them, as you can see, are on remote islands. And so maybe self-piloting ships will actually be able to solve many of their, transportation missions.
Okay, yeah. It sounds like it's really addressing inequality.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Very cool. Okay, and can you tell me about the non-binary ID cards? That push?
Sure. So what we're considering now is a new EID system that combines the two existing IDs, the 身份证, the National Identity Card, as well as the 自然凭证, the Citizen Digital Certificate, right? So these two, once combined together, become what we call the new EID, right? And there's a lot of people with ARC or other ways of staying in Taiwan who didn't know that actually the 自然人凭证, the citizen certificate, is actually not limited to people with the ROC identity. Actually, people with other passports who happen to stay here can also get a digital certificate. Not many people know about this. So we're going to make a concerted push to enable the foreign people know that they can actually also get a EID that are both good as a IC card as well as a NFC card, meaning that it's touch-based and you can access a lot of government services based on this new ID. And the best thing is that when you get this new EID, the second digit is going to be a digit, not a letter. So currently it's AC something, AD something for you, but now it could be a 8 something, a 9 something, and so it will be much easier, for example, to get a railway card using the Chinese system, language. The traditional Chinese system of the current railway system only omits the second digit and not the second letter, as well as movie tickets, many other online services that are currently making almost a discrimination based on the format of the national ID, and that's going to be changed this year.
Okay, excellent. And where in that plan are we?
We're confirmed that we're going to revise the second digit into a number. And we're confirmed that the foreign people will be able to use the same format of the digital certificate card. And so all that remains is to actually settle on what to display on this card and what to put into this card and what to store in cloud-based systems and so on. And that is still being hashed out. And I think the rolling out will be gradual, meaning that it will be opt-in at first, and the all-pervasive rollout, I think, is scheduled next year, actually. So this year is most about pilots and experiments. And so, maybe you see some pilot or experiments call for service design or call for beta testing or things like that this year. And feel free to join. But once we get everybody's input and settle on the final version of the layout and so on, then it will be rolled out next year.
Okay, and next year, 2020.
That's right.
Okay, very cool. And it said that you code a lot and you made your own language or contributed to one. Do you still code every day?
Oh yeah, I still code every day.
Okay, at the Social Innovation Lab.
That's right, and I also automate a lot of the chores that I face personally as digital minister, or along with our colleagues. Some of them find that it's very time-consuming, for example, to order lunchboxes individually and to collect what people are going to eat before each meeting and things like that. So there's also an online system that helps collect those lunchbox orders. And so everything that are chores for the public servants, we automated using digital systems.
Okay, and is that just in your office, or do you open that up to everybody?
It's a open app market. So all the app that we wrote is on the Sandstorm app market, so everybody can use it, not just the public servants. But if your email address ends in something.gov.tw, meaning that you're a Taiwanese public servant, and then you can go to the ey.pdis.tw and for free get your own hosting account and start setting up those apps. That lets you coordinate, for example, the to-do list, the online chat, and so just think of it like the Google Apps or Slack or Trello of today's productivity tools, but we have a free software equivalent that are hosted on cybersecurity hardened infrastructure, and all the public servants are feel free to use it. And if you're not a public servant, you can still use it, but you can find your other hosting provider somewhere else.
Okay, very cool. All right. Winding down, I just have a couple more questions. So what are some like social issues that are near and dear to you, and what steps do you take to, I guess, to help?
Right. So we already talked about our contribution to the water and ecosystem and air and climate change and things like that. So that's more of the environmental part. But I also care very much about the equality of education. At the end of 2018, the legislation body passed the National Languages Act. And to me, I think that is a very, very positive sign. Not only that we're going to have a public television in Taiwanese Holog for the first time, in Dagi for the first time, but it also says that in the education system, if the school and the children want to get educated in, for example, calculus with, for example, Sakilaya or Amis, and the education authority must provide sufficient resources so that they can learn about any subject in any Taiwanese languages, including the indigenous and various Taiwanese languages. And I think it is a very, very new thing. And previously, people think about those language acquisition as specific to the what we call 母语教学科, the mother tongue education classes. So maybe a few hours every week. But this act is saying no. If you want, you can get the entire basic education using whatever mother tongue you would like. And so that calls for a lot of investment in the teaching resources, in the basic databases of indigenous and Taiwanese languages, as well as a lot of artificial intelligence. Actually, we had an agreement with the Mozilla Common Voice project, as well as other AI researchers, to make sure that people can record and contribute their spoken languages and their vocabularies and things that then form a language circle, and using machine translation and so on to automatically translate, for example, between the 6 tonalities of the Taiwanese Hakka languages. And so I think AI, again, as a assistive intelligence, will very much accelerate the pace of which that people can speak comfortably in their local tongue and not be treated as merely a dialect or an accent, but a fully recognized language and culture.
That is awesome. Okay, very cool. I feel like that maybe was under the radar because the English as a second language thing has been a really big push, how to make it bilingual and stuff, right?
Yes.
That's taken, all the headlines in the news and stuff.
The bilingual thing, again, starts in the education system, because previously the kindergartens and first grade and second grade, it's not the norm to be immersively taught in English, as well as like English plus mother tongue, right? That's by far not the norm. And so this kind of immersive education, previously there was a lot of regulations that kind of blocks or discourage this kind of education. So most of the bilingual nation plan is just to relax those regulations. So we're not going a top-down way. We're not saying that all the public service need to start writing English for our letters and for our regulations and so on. But this is purely a responsive strategy. So for people who are not, do not consider Mandarin as the mother tongue, or Mandarin for them is harder to access than English, for these people, for the foreign people, I think whatever regulations and whatever parts of public service that they use the most, we will bilingualize that first. But we're not just, in a top-down way doing everything, because it would be actually not very productive. Right. And the public service will actually resist that kind of move. So what we're saying is that we're putting the people first, and foreign people are, of course, now also considered part of our citizens, as evidenced by the new EID plan.
Okay, very cool. And last question. What are your thoughts on the November 24th election? Just what happened there, the referendums, just your reflection on that.
Well, yeah, I think the tallying really need to be sped up. We suggest a lot of automated tallying machines and so on for the CEC to consider, because if you work in the tallying booth and it's very hard work, and some people actually stayed until midnight to finish their tallying work. If this continues for a few more times, I'm not sure that we can recruit sufficient people to serve as the election staff, and so we really need to make their life easier. And when we make their life easier, it will, of course, using service design and other methodologies, it will also make the queue shorter. I think reducing the queue as well as making the tallying faster. I think these are the two things going forward that we're going to improve in the next election, because the user experience it's not explosively hostile, but it is somewhat hostile. And I think we need to associate democracy with a good feeling and not a very long waiting feeling.
A big thank you to Audrey Tang for speaking with me, and thank you for listening. If you like this episode, please listen to previous episodes of Taiwan Talk, which can be found on the ICRT website, mobile app, or iTunes. You can also find more podcast offerings from ICRT, like the weekly news talk show Taiwan This Week with Gavin Phipps. Anyway, that's it for this week's Taiwan Talk. I'm Alex Lewis.